out there, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. On today's episode, we have Jenny Tolman. How are you today, Jenny?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. When I got your contact information and reached out to you for an interview, I was so excited to hear more about your song, Timbuktu. For the listeners out there, her song dropped on November 10th, and this song has a very special meaning for you. So if you will, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so when I was writing this song with my husband, Dave Brainard, and Holly McCubbin, our other co-writer, Holly brought the idea for Timbuktu, and at first we were writing it and we were thinking it was just about, this love that's falling apart or a marriage that's falling apart or whatever it may be. But as we were continuing to write it, it almost started revealing itself to us in certain ways, which, when you're writing songs just kind of take on a life of their own. And Dave, my husband, is former military. He was in the Air Force and comes from a large military family and has this very unique perspective when it comes to mental health dealings. And it felt like this song was kind of turning into this like mental health struggle, but loving you through it. And so he actually is the one who took it into a more, when you listen to it, can be heard from any perspective. But in our minds, we were like, well, what if this is somebody battling with PTSD and this is their partner telling them, like, I know this is really hard, but I'm going to love you through this type of thing. And because he's seen that in his family, before and the struggles that certain family members have gone through after being overseas. And so just really took it into this beautiful space where, it's just this really nice message of, we see you and we're here for you. And I just really want that to be heard by anybody who needs that message, like no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's PTSD or depression or even, postpartum, being a mom now, it's like I hear it in all these different ways now. And just, knowing that somebody loves you no matter what.
Wow. That's such a powerful message. And the message in the song is also lending itself to kind of go hand in hand with a project out of Tennessee called Operation Stand Down. Can you tell me about your involvement with that group?
Yeah, so once we had written this song and I knew I was putting it out and I knew I wanted to make a beautiful video, describing this PTSD scenario, I knew that I wanted to get a partner involved, to help elevate this even more and get it to the people who need to hear it. And so Operation Stand Down Tennessee is somewhere that I went and I toured their facilities, and it's gorgeous what they've built out. And they're just amazing. They're helping veterans who are at any scope. I mean, they're from homelessness to just transitioning out of the military into civilian life, battling with PTSD. They have something called Operation Connect that they've started that I'm really passionate about bringing to people's attention, because it's all about connecting veterans with their communities, because that's one of the biggest problems with PTSD is the isolation that comes with that, and not being able to relate with the average civilian who has no idea what you've been through. And so really connecting each other with that and, similar experiences is so important in lowering that suicide rate in veterans who are battling with PTSD. And so they just do amazing work. And so I was really passionate about that. And we're donating the first $1,000 from the proceeds of this song to them. And it's just really important that, with a message like this, I always want somebody who is professionally taking care of these people and, doing it every day, day in and day out, to be, attached to that. And for me to be able to use this art in some way for good, because, that's how we're all doing music anyways for other people. It's all about connecting with whoever needs it. And so any way that I can do that. And I'm just very grateful for Operation Stand Down letting me be involved with them in a little bit.
Yeah, that's an amazing message that you're trying to get out to people, and I'm applauding you for trying to help out those who need it because, a lot of veterans feel like they don't have a voice sometimes, especially after
Yes.
like you said, they feel the isolation and,
Hmm.
so what an awesome program to become a part of. That is very cool. And it's awesome that you're sharing your song with them and helping them even more. So, wow. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me, and you just talked a little bit about being a mom, postpartum. Your baby is about to have a birthday. How exciting!
Believe it. I'm like, how do I almost have a 1-year-old? That's
I know.
everything everybody says about how fast it goes by, and all the cliches are so true. Like, it's flown by. I am obsessed with him. Nothing else matters. Like, it's just,
Mhm, mhm.
it's amazing. So yeah, we're planning his theme is Bear's first rodeo. So
Oh, I
I'm a
love
little
that.
cowboy.
Yes, very cowboy. Oh my gosh. So tell me, how do you manage being an artist and also being a mom? Like, how does that, I don't know what your typical day to day looks like, but how does that kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place right now, to be honest.
I believe it. Yes, I get it.
I
I
mean,
get it.
the music industry to begin with is all over the place. You never have the same day twice.
Yeah.
And but it's kind of a blessing when it comes to being a mom and having a baby
Mhm.
because this industry is so, especially the country music industry is so open
Yeah.
to children and babies. And I have amazing co-writers who are very, very happy to have him in the room with us if he needs to be, if
Aw.
it's an
Mhm.
emergency and nobody can watch him. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I am really lucky. I'm very grateful. I've got my parents here in town
Oh,
who also,
wow.
watch him
That's awesome.
whenever I need to get away for a little bit. But I mean, really, it's just been so much fun. It's obviously a lot of work,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
really fun because he comes on the road with me. He's an amazing
Oh,
traveler. Thank God.
yay.
Like, his
Yes.
first flight was at 6 weeks old, so he's like a road baby. He's a trooper. So
Mhm.
we were calculating it the other day. He's been on over 20 flights already.
Oh
So I
my
mean,
gosh.
so he's a well-traveled baby. So I think that like starting him that early kind of like set him to be really chill because he's such a
Yeah.
chill baby and he's really good around people and because he's always around new people and just
Mhm.
like unique people too, especially in the music industry.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, we've been just really blessed with an amazing boy
Oh.
and yes, it certainly has its challenges, and there's certain days where I feel like the crazy isolation mom thing that I know all moms feel. But there's always the redeeming moments. Like I love it so much. So it's been hard, but the greatest blessing I've ever known.
Yeah.
So
I love
yeah.
to hear that though, because I've always wondered, what it's like to be an artist and be a mom and do all the things and it's incredible to watch and to know that you're doing it so well and your baby's loving it also it seems like because I have two kids of my own and I can definitely tell when my kids are not loving a situation that I've
Yeah.
put them in.
Yes.
I'm sure you've experienced that maybe once or twice, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's that's so cool to know that he's about to have his little first birthday and he's already such a seasoned traveler. Wow, that's
Yeah.
really that's really
I
awesome.
tell him all the time, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're one of the luckiest babies, like going to all these places. He's been to Jackson Hole twice already. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
you're a little
Beautiful. Yes.
spoiled baby, but we'll make sure you're grateful for it.
I was gonna say too, just imagine if one day he grows up, because both of his very talented songwriter parents are growing up in Nashville. I'm sure that this like music lineage is gonna flow down through him, and he's
Oh
probably
yeah,
gonna be some type of musician. So
he's
that's
showing
awesome to
signs
think
of
about.
being a drummer already, and that makes me nervous.
Drumming on all the things in the house, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, he loves all. He steals his daddy's shakers and tambourines, and yep. I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Is that Dave's instrument? Did he like start playing the drums or anything like that?
Dave's
Is
main
he
instrument is guitar, but he can play
guitar?
everything under the sun. He's a
Hmm.
ridiculous musician. I mean, he's one of the most talented people in Nashville, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
but yeah, he can play the drums, but it's not his main instrument. But But my grandfather was a drummer, so I'm like, maybe
Oh.
that's getting passed down. So we'll
Is
see
that where
what we
you
get.
yeah, is that talking about your grandfather being a drummer, do
Yeah.
you think that's how your music I don't know, your music lineage kind of started that way,
Oh,
or in another way?
absolutely.
How do you think? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about how you got started.
Yeah. My dad, so my grandfather and my dad, so my dad's dad on my dad's side, he was
Yeah.
so he had a big band he that was called Will Tolman and the Band That Plays to Please, and he had this
I
big
love
band
that.
and was a drummer and just amazing musician. And so he passed that down to my dad and my aunt and his sister. And so my dad was a singer back in the 80s, and that's how I ended up being born in Nashville because he moved to Nashville in the 80s and was in a group called the Indian River Boys that was put
Oh
together
wow.
by Burt Reynolds.
Oh my gosh.
Super random. But my dad and Burt were old running buddies back in the day, and yeah, it's a crazy story. But anyway, so he was here for a while, and then my older sister was born, and he ended up switching to the business side, um, and then when I was born, I just came out singing, and I've just always sang
Yeah.
since I can even remember, and started playing piano by ear when I was 3, and so I was just always very musical and knew that that was what I was going to do. There was never like a question in my mind. And really
Hmm.
growing up here and having a parent who works in the music industry, you don't realize that that's not a common thing to do.
Yeah.
And so you get a little bit older and then you're like, oh, everybody's not not in the music. So it's very much a blessing. And there's I like to say it's a blessing and a curse because I think I'm amazed and always like so I don't know if impressed is the right word, but by people who leave everything that they know and come here. I mean, I don't know that I could have done that. So I think God was like, okay, this one needs to be born here because she's not like brave enough to leave. Uh,
That makes so much sense to me because
yeah,
yeah, yeah, as someone who isn't from Nashville, I get the scare. I get the scare of
yeah,
like if you were to absolutely pick up everything and just move somewhere else. Yeah, I totally understand that. So tell me,
yes.
okay, w- as you were singing throughout your childhood and playing instruments and that kind of thing, when did you decide that like this is going to be, was there a moment or was there like an event or anything when you were like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah, actually, when I was 16, I got a guitar for my birthday. And that was kind of the light bulb moment of like, oh, okay, because I had never thought about being a songwriter as well
Hmm.
as a singer. But when I got that, I had kind of started like writing little, like terrible songs, but I had written stories before that. Like in middle school, I was writing stories, and even at one point, I was like, oh, maybe I could write like children's books and be a children's author too. And
Yeah.
so I'd always loved like characters and storytelling. And
Hmm.
this guitar, for some reason, I was like, wait, I can put everything I love to do together, and it's called being a singer-songwriter. And a country
Perfect.
artist. So it was kind of like in that moment, I was like, okay, here we go. This is what I'm doing. Because I had always known I would be a singer, but then I was like, wait, there's a whole nother part of this that is creative and fun. And so, yeah, ever since then.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So I have two questions, and hopefully I'll remember the second. So I'm gonna I'm gonna start with one. When you were 16, what do you think your biggest music influences? Who were your biggest music influences back then when you
I
first
would
started?
definitely say Taylor Swift. I mean, that was when she was really like blowing up in the
Yeah, for
country
sure.
scene, and it was like, oh, I think I could do that too. Like she's writing about real stuff that she's feeling and what she's going through. And so I mean, it's a very like cliche answer probably, but I mean, she was
No
definitely
way.
one of the biggest ones. I mean, for any musician right now, I
Yes,
would beg to say that probably all were influenced by her. But
definitely.
I've
As you
always
should
loved,
be. Yes. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I've always loved more like traditional country too. Roger Miller and anything written by Shel Silverstein, I'm
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with. Just anything in that vein of like being able to be really wacky and kind of funny with your writing, but
Yeah.
in that like delivering a really cool, enlightening message, I think is a really unique thing that country music gets to do, which I love.
Yes. And from hearing Timbuktu and some of your other songs, I hear some of that influence of just the amazing storytelling and hearing everything that's kind of coming from your brain and just developing the story that we want to tune into. So, wow, that's incredible to know. Okay, here's my second question. It went and then it came back, so here I am now. Tell me, of the songs that you've written so far, which song do you think is one of your most memorable or one that you find to be the most personal for you?
Ooh,
Mm.
gosh, the most memorable for sure is one called Lonely in the Lone Star. And it's interesting that this also has to do with veterans, or military service. This
Wow.
one was written when it was right before, I'll try to make this as short as I can because it has a
No
little bit
way.
of
Take your
context.
time.
But
Yeah, tell me all of it. I want to know.
I was writing this with my husband and our friend Bill White. And Bill had brought in the title Lonely in the Lone Star, and it was one of those again where we thought like, oh, it's about the cowboy leaving and
Mm-hmm,
blah
mm-hmm.
blah blah. But for some reason, it turned into this military bent. And
Wow.
I promise I don't write a bunch of military songs. It's just that these ones had to stand out for some reason. But um and it was right before anything having to do with the Afghanistan withdrawal even was happening. So
Wow.
there
Okay.
was nothing in the news, like nothing that was telling us like physically like, oh, we should write about this, but something spiritually was like, we need to write about Afghanistan. And we
Wow.
wrote this song about losing your love in Afghanistan. And about, I would say 2 weeks after we wrote it was when the talk started happening about withdrawing from Afghanistan. And
Mm-hmm.
something in me was telling me, it was just like, you need to put this song online. And I don't usually do that. I usually like to have a very like cohesive package and marketing plan and like everything
Yeah.
together. But it was
Mm-hmm.
just like gnawing at me. And so I was said to Dave, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like I need to put this out. And he said, well, babe, if you really feel that strongly about it, then do it. So I just sat down with the guitar and put a little clip of it up on Instagram. And I think even 2 or 3 weeks later, I forget the exact timeline, but that was when the Kabul bombing happened. And
Oh,
uh,
wow.
long story short, the wife, the widow of one of the Marines who was killed, heard the song, and
Oh.
she said that it described exactly how she felt. And I mean, first of all, it's just mind blowing that that even reaches that particular
Mm-hmm.
person, like the one person in the world who needed to hear that message. She was 2 weeks away from giving birth to their first child, to their daughter, when he
Oh my
died.
gosh.
And they asked if I would come out to Jackson Hole, where he was from, and play this song at his memorial service. And I mean, as a songwriter, you can't, ask for a better connection. That's what you hope for, that your songs reach who needs to hear them. And so we ended up going out to Jackson and playing this at his memorial service. And it was the greatest honor, that I've ever had as a writer and an artist to be a part of something like that. And, something that means so much. And there's nothing that could ever mean anything more than something like that. And so that is definitely the most memorable for sure. And
Definitely.
and something that you don't ever hope that somebody can relate to that, but when there's somebody who needs to relate to something like that, then that we were able to to contribute in some type of hopefully comforting way. So
Definitely. Almost like a divine meeting or like a divine
hmm
happening where this song came out for that one specific person,
absolutely.
probably for a lot more too, but you
Yeah.
know, like you said, it's an honor and a goal of most songwriters to be able to connect with someone like that. And so
Yes,
that's an
absolutely.
incredible story. I'm so glad you told me that. Wow. I'm gonna have to go check out Lonely in the Lone Star now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Tell me, okay, we talked a little bit before we got on the show about some Christmas songs that you have coming up for the listeners out there. This episode was recorded a couple weeks before Christmas, right before Bear's birthday. So tell me more about that Christmas song too.
Yeah, so I have a Christmas song called Cowboy for Christmas, and it's so much fun. I love cowboys, obviously. I'm dressing my baby up as a cowboy for his birthday, so I love everything cowboy. My favorite place that I tour is out west, whether it's Texas, Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho. I mean, all of it. I love it.
Yeah.
Cowboy for Christmas is what I've always wanted. My poor husband is not a cowboy, but he puts up with it.
Maybe he can play the part of a cowboy one day. You know,
That's
maybe
right. He
one
wears
day.
the hat sometimes, so.
There you go. Exactly. And you just mentioned touring places out west. I like these questions about like a favorite or a memorable or stuff like that. So tell me, if you were to describe a venue or a show that you've played in the past, which show do you think is one of your favorites?
Ooh, okay. That's hard to choose. Well, I mean, there's a couple. So like one of the coolest, like biggest shows I've gotten to play was Country Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
And I was on the main stage there and I got to do the whole catwalk thing and like
Ooh,
people are
yeah.
holding out their hands and you just like feel way cooler than you actually are. But one of my favorite venues to play is the $1 Million Cowboy Bar in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I don't know if you've ever been
Cool.
there. It's so much fun.
No.
They've got saddles for bar stools, and it's just, you feel like you've stepped back into the Wild West. It's so much fun. But I actually have the honor of doing a all-female country festival there every October. We've done it twice now.
Ooh,
Next year will be our third
fun.
year. It's called Cowgirls at the Cowboy. And the first year we had Carly Pierce as our headliner. Last year, this year, we had Lauren Elena as our headliner, and Tiger Lily Gold was there. Dina Carter, Ashley Monroe. It was just
Wow.
it's been amazing. So I mean, we've got a lot of really good memories at the Cowboy Bar.
How cool. Oh my gosh, I want to go.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Maybe I'll plan it for next October because that sounds
Yes, you have
awesome.
to. And Jackson Hole in itself is just like stunning, and
Mhm.
you have to go. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to plan a trip. I'm already like planning out the flights in
Good.
my head. Oh my gosh. So tell me, I think, okay, we've had an incredible talk today. I've loved hearing about everything you have going on. Tell me, is there anything else that you'd like to promote or anything that you would like to, or anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before we hop off the episode today?
Oh gosh. I mean, just a shout out to everybody who's supporting my music and listening to it and, allowing me to live out both of my dreams as being a mom and an artist. I mean, that's the two things I've always wanted since I was a little girl, was to be a mom and to be a singer. And here I am today doing them both. And so it's really, just a moment of gratitude. Anytime I sit back and think about that, I'm like, wow, that's really cool that I actually get to do all of this. So I'm just really grateful for people like you who show any interest in talking to me and wanting to learn about the music and anything like that. So I appreciate you, and I
Oh my
have a
gosh, thank
lot
you.
more music coming out in 2024. So I'm very
Yay.
excited. Lots of new music. So get ready for that.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely. Well, okay. Jenny Tolman, for the listeners out there, make sure you check her out, especially the song Timbuktu that has the proceeds to benefit Operation Stand Down, Operation Connect for veterans throughout the Tennessee state. I have loved talking with you today, Jenny, and we'll talk soon about more upcoming music that you have.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, listeners out there. Y'all have a good day.